Hey guys, Matt Chan here with Train for the Win. So we got a question, I'm reading it right now. It says, how do I calculate macros for the very lame man? Well, I don't know how lame we're talking, but I'm gonna spell this thing out for you pretty quickly. So when to do macros, hey, if you've never tracked your food intake at all, macros are a pretty forgiving way to do it. And I personally enjoy doing macros more so than the zone because I've got the, it's so simple by using a calorie tracker versus having to look up what a zone block is if I don't know. That can be pretty difficult. The content of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats equate to calories, and therefore everything's pretty trackable. I will say this though, what companies report as the caloric intake and macronutrient levels of all their foods are not 100% accurate, and all of our bodies definitely treat foods differently. So even though tracking macros is great, one prescription isn't going to work for everybody because of those elements. Okay, now with that said, let's talk about how to track macros, how to calculate macros for somebody. Okay, so let's say I'm tracking, I'm going to create a, calculate macros for a CrossFit athlete, okay? I would ask the athlete first, what's your goal? Is it going to be weight loss, maintenance, or gain? So with that said, I would kind of feed them into these categories. I got weight loss, maintenance, or gain, okay? Now the numbers below are simply a range of activity level. So if somebody's not that active, I'm going to use 12 as the activity level. And this is kind of like, hey, I'm going to CrossFit maybe 2-3 days a week, but I'm relatively sedentary throughout the rest of the week. Maybe I walk my dogs, maybe I go for a walk with the wife and kids, but for the most part I have a desk job and I don't do a lot. 14, on the other hand, is a higher activity level for the person that's looking to lose weight, okay? With the maintenance, you're going to see that it starts at 14, and again, that's somebody who's more sedentary, and 16 is a higher activity level. And then lastly, somebody that needs to gain weight, they're going to use 18 as the starting spot and range all the way up to 22 as the high activity level. All right, now what do you do with those numbers? All we're going to do is we're going to choose one of these numbers in this range and start there and multiply that times my body weight, okay? So I'm going to use 12, and I'm going to use myself as an example. So I'm a CrossFit athlete, and I'm going to say that I weigh 200 pounds, which is pretty accurate, and I'm going to multiply it by 12, okay? This is pretty easy. That's the low end of weight loss, so I'm more sedentary, and this is my body weight, so my 200 pounds times my activity level, and that equates to the calorie intake that I'm going to need, and that's 2,800 calories. Okay, now that doesn't tell me much. Okay, now I need to take into account my body type. Okay, so body types, you see that category here. There's 3. We've got the I. This is somebody who's got a hard time putting weight on. We've got the triangle. This is the person that carries a good amount of muscle mass and is shaped more like a triangle. This person is also somewhat carb sensitive. And then lastly, we've got the circle. Okay, the circle is somebody who puts on body mass quite easily and is very carb sensitive. Okay, now choose which one kind of you fit the shape of the most. For me, I kind of fit this triangle shape over the last bunch of years because of all the training. And now I'm going to take 30% of protein. There's my carbs, and I'm going to take 40% of carbs, and I'm going to take fat in 30%. So that's that 30, 40, 30 percentage split. And I'm going to now kind of calculate that for that 2,800 calories. Okay? So this is pretty easy. I take 2,800. Sorry, I dropped my calculator here. I take 2,800 and multiply it by 0.3. So that's 30%. And I'm going to use this same number for both for protein and for fat, because again, protein and fat are both 30% for me, okay? And that comes out to 840 calories. And that's going to be 840 calories for protein and for fat. Now, here's the tough part. I've got to now calculate how many actual grams of protein and fat I have to eat per day. So I take 840 and I multiply them by the number of calories per gram, and that's 4 for protein. So if I multiply times 4, divide by 4, 840 equals 210 grams of protein. Okay, now how many calories are in a gram of fat? Anybody know? You can't interact with me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pretend like you all said 9. That's correct, 9, great job. Okay, so if I take 840 divided by 9, that's gonna give me my fat. So my fat is 93 grams. Okay, now the last part is I'm going to change this number from 0.3 to 0.4 because that's 40%, which is what I'm going to calculate for carbohydrates. So 2,800 times 0.4 equals 1,120 calories. 1,120 calories. Okay, how many calories in 1 gram of carbs? That's right. You're also smart. 4. So I'm going to divide 1,120 divided by 4, and that equals 280 grams of carbs. 280 grams of carbs. Okay, there's my prescription, there's my macros, and this is for somebody that's using 12 because they want to lose weight and they're shaped like a triangle. Oh, and of course, they weigh 200 pounds. How many? 210 grams of protein, 280 grams of carbs, and 93 grams of fat. Okay? So hopefully that information is helpful to you. Macros are awesome. I wouldn't stay on them all year long because it's just really not necessary. But going back to them from time to time, it's a good stimulus to your system to do something a little bit different, calculate those macros, stick with it, and see what changes you're going to make. If you do commit to this, commit to it every single day for 12 weeks, okay, 3 months. And I promise you, as long as you're adjusting things appropriately, you're going to see a lot of results. So if I find myself losing weight at too fast of a rate, so in other words, more than 2 pounds of body weight per week, that's too fast. I need to up my caloric intake as a whole. And all I would do personally is add 200 calories to that original prescription of 2,800. So if I'm losing, let's say this week I lost 4 pounds, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's too much. Well, then I add 200 to my 2,800, so I'm gonna have 3,000 calories per day. And next week, let's say I now lost 2 pounds. All right, I'm gonna stick with that prescription after figuring out what those macros are. I think that might be right for me, okay? If you see your performance drop as you go, kind of got to weigh. Do I want to do I care about losing performance so much that I'm going to forego weight loss? Or do I want to go ahead and continue working towards that weight loss and forego performance? So it's kind of a balancing act, and it's really your decision. So I hope that information helps. If you guys have questions, I encourage you to take a look at the Train for the Win YouTube channel. It's TrainFTW. Give it a search. There's a couple of nutrition videos that are super helpful. Or B, get in contact with a coach. This is our biggest recommendation is contact a coach that can help you along with this stuff. There's a lot of them out there. Just to name a couple that I've worked with, Working Against Gravity is a great one. Adi and her team are fantastic, and they do a great job, and it's personally coached, and it's worth every cent. So get with it, stick with it for 12 weeks, and let us know how you go. All our best, and good luck out there. All right, bye.